92.7. My name is Alex Nyman, and this is Jazz Club. That's a very good afternoon to you. I do welcome to Jazz Club with me, Alex Nyman. I'm with you for the next couple of hours here on RFM 92.7. I've got a rather eclectic mix as usual for you, and the first track there was featuring a guitarist called Jeff Golub, and the track, as you might be aware, was actually called Pick Up the Pieces, a track made very famous back in the 70s by the Average White Band. Probably one of the first tracks I ever heard, actually. I think I must have been about 12 or 13 when I heard that for the first time, introducing sort of a funky kind of saxophone thing going on there, originally at least. And as I say, that was an updated version there by Jeff Golub and his band. The second track you heard there was track featuring, actually, sorry, not featuring, it was featuring the 22 Orchestra. And the name of the band is actually Tenderlonious, and the album's name is The Shakedown. And the track's name was Maria. Yeah, it's kind of a sort of funky start to the show there. And as I mentioned in the past, I tend to, what I do at the beginning of every week is I go on to Apple and I check through all their latest listings for jazz, and I make a very kind of conscious effort to try and pick stuff that I've not heard before, and hopefully stuff maybe that you haven't heard before. So we're going on a kind of a jazz journey through all sorts of genres of music within the jazz sphere, and just, you know, I think it's kind of interesting. It's certainly interesting for me, and I hope it's interesting for you, people listening out there. And I've got all sorts of wonderful stuff coming up. The next track is actually featuring a trombonist, and his name is Marshall Gilks, and he's recording here with the WDR Big Band, or the WDR Big Band, based in Cologne in Germany. And I actually lived in Cologne for quite some time, and I have very, very fond of the city and the people there. It's an amazing place, and it's so good to know that they've got a fantastic, I guess it's a radio big band, and they often invite some special guests over, such as Bob Mintzer and lots and lots of people. And in fact, this chap, Marshall Gilks, I heard him the other day. I was at the School of Music in Wellington, and one of the trumpet players there, Bentz, was playing a track, and I said, "My goodness, who's that?" He said, "Oh, it's a trumpet player, a trombone player called Marshall Gilks." And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing! I have to go and listen to some more of him." And of course, fortunately, with Apple, you can find pretty much everyone on there. And this is an album that he recorded, as I said, with the VDR Big Band, and this particular track is called "Puddle Jumping." was going to actually play another track after that in sort of, like a segue track, but I have to say, all I can say is, wow, I've never heard that guy play before. That was amazing. I'm just hoping, in the name of all things holy, that was a valve trombone. And not a slide trombone, because if it's a slide trombone, I think we'd imagine that most of the trombonists around the world listening to that would probably be crying into their cups of tea, or probably a large whiskey after hearing that. That's amazing! Wow, well, I've never heard a trombone played so accurately. Maybe I haven't listened to enough trombone players, but I have heard lots of trombone players. I'm just laughing because it's so incredible what he just did. Well, am I going to be listening to a lot more Marshall Gilks? That's for sure. Wow, I'm just absolutely stunned by that. I'm going to do a little check online, just to it will say for sure whether or not he's playing valve trombone or slide trombone. I mean, to be that accurate, I just can't imagine he's playing slide. But geez, if he is, that's wow. That would be absolutely incredible. So let's move on now. I've got another track coming up now with this is a guitarist who where is he? I think he's from South Africa. I might be wrong. Forgive me if I am. His name is Lionel Lueke, and he's been around for probably about 15 years or so now. And I was first aware of him maybe about 15 years ago. We came on the jazz scene, and he's played with just virtually everybody and everybody. And he's a really superb guitarist. He's just a very, very different kind of style to most of the trombone players He's certainly got a very different style to most trombone players because he plays the guitar. He's quite unique, I would say, in his approach. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the track, and you can have a listen to it. And this is called Molika.
got rhythm, I've got music, I've got my man who could ask for anything more. I've got daisies in green pastures, I've got my man who could ask for anything more.
Old man Trouble, I don't mind him, you won't find him round my door. I got starlight, I got sweet dreams, I got my gal who could ask for anything more, who could ask for anything more. I got starlight, I got sweet dreams, I got my gal who could ask for anything more. Who could ask for anything more?
Very wonderful Al Jarreau there with Morning, and that's off the album We're in This Love Together. Fantastic singer. Sadly passed away a few years ago, and much missed. Very, very unique vocalist and beautiful, easy style, and I think everybody misses Al. He was just such a wonderful chap. And before that, you heard Diana Krall and Tony Bennett singing I've Got Rhythm, or I Got Rhythm. And before that was the guitarist Lionel Luecki playing Molika. And I just want to let you know that I did a little online search for Marshall Gilks, and the first thing I saw was Marshall playing a slide trombone. Oh boy, I think if I was a trombonist and I saw him playing a slide trombone with that phenomenal accuracy, I'd probably just stick mine in the bin and never play it again, because it's just I guess as a non-trombone player, to me it sounds just absolutely incredible. I'm trying to think of a trombone player in New Zealand who probably would play with that sort of accuracy with a slide trombone. Probably the only guy I can think of would probably be Dave Bremner, although I'm sure that many other trombone players would be sort of shouting at the radio right now going, "What do you mean? What about me? I can play just as accurate as that." I'm sure they can, but I've just never heard anybody do what Marshall did on that track. That was just absolutely stunning, incredible. And fortunately, I do have another track coming up with him, and it's a little bit later in the program. I can always nip to it if I need to, of course, and who knows, I might well do that. I can't actually see it on my playlist, but I know that it's there somewhere. And actually, yes, I can. Do you know what? I'm gonna be a real. I'm going to be a bit greedy and a bit selfish, and I'm going to play it right now. And this is Marshall Gilks again with the VDR Big Band, and this is a track called "Easy to Love," and it's featuring Johan Hurlen. So that was the fabulous Miguel Zenon, saxophone player. Sorry, I haven't heard him for quite a while, and he's just absolutely incredible. Hey, that unison stuff there with the strings was just amazing. That's from an album called Yo Soy La Tradición, and the track itself was called Milagrosa, and that was featuring the Spectral Quartet, and absolutely stunning arrangement that was. And before that, you heard actually you didn't really hear much of Marshall Gilks, the trombone player. Was raving about beforehand, and with good reason, because he is absolutely amazing. That was actually featuring the lead alto player with the VDR big band, Johan Horlein, and really excellent solo. That was quite a long, extended solo, and that must have been fairly quite a precious situation for him, I'm sure, and he did an amazing job. Really thoughtful solo, and I very much enjoyed that. And just trying to get the volume up a little bit on this microphone. That's better. And anyway, so what have we got coming up next? I actually played a track from this album, I think it was last week actually, and it's popped up again. And I'm going to have also, I'm going to follow this with another track from a British saxophone player, English saxophone player, I should say. His name is Julian Arguelles, and he's from, it doesn't matter where he's from, I guess he's from England, put it that way. And he was over here in New Zealand just a wee while ago, actually. He was upstairs from my studio at the New Zealand School of Music. It was upstairs in, I think it must have been in Roger's room, or maybe it was in the bass room. Anyway, he was in one room and he was practicing away, and he sounded amazing up there, and I really enjoyed listening to him. And his track, I'm going to play a track from an album from him. That will be the track called Alfama. And before that, you're going to listen to, I hope, Cécile McLaurin-Salvant and her track called Visions.
People hand in hand, have I lived to see the milk and honey land, where hate's a dream and love forever stands, or the vision in my mind. But somehow men feel they are truly free at last. Have we really gone this far through space and time? Or is this a vision in my mind? I'm not one who make believes. I know that leaves are green. They only turn to brown when autumn comes around. I know just what I say. Today's not yesterday, and all things have an ending. But what I'd like to know is, could a place like this exist so beautiful? Or do we have to find our wings and fly away to the vision in our minds? not one who make believes. I know that leaves are green, they only turn to brown when autumn comes around. I know just what I say, today's not yesterday, and all things have an end. Using paper like letters and words like knives. Or do we have to find our wings and fly away to the vision in our mind?
Fama by Julian Arguelles, and that was with Ivo Neem, Sam Larson, and James Madron. And what a great track. Fabulous soprano playing. And before that, you heard Cécile McLaren-Savon with her track called Visions. Beautiful vocalist and very, very enjoyable. And I'm really glad I played that. I've got a sneaking suspicion, and I might be wrong, but I will check my playlist. But I got a sneaking suspicion I might have played that track before. But who cares? Because it's just so gorgeous. Does it really matter if you hear it twice? I don't think so. I think it's just a wonderful track, and it's nice to hear it again. So I did. I could have stopped halfway through, but I thought, no, let's carry on because it's so good. And anyway, coming up now, I've got a track by now the Kenny Barron Quintet. I'm going to follow that up with a track featuring wonderful tenor saxophone player called Joshua Redman. And anyway, this first track up is Kenny Barron Quintet, piano player, and this is Blue Waters. Joshua Redman there, featuring on the album by Joey Alexander, and that particular track was called 14. Before that, you heard Kenny Barron's Quintet. Now, the reason why that track is called 14, because that's how old Joey Alexander is. He's actually 14 years old. He's simply an amazing piano player. I heard him on YouTube. I think it was a couple of nights ago, actually, just, sort of searching around for bits and pieces. And there he was playing with Wynton Marsalis and some of the older fellas from the Lincoln Jazz Orchestra. And pretty much holding his own with 3 or 4 other far more mature piano players, and he's just absolutely incredible. 14 years old. I think he was only about 12 when he was playing with the Lincoln Jazz Orchestra. So that's a child prodigy for you, and hopefully he will remain the wonderful chap that he is, and he will carry on to do amazing things. I'm sure he will. He's probably got some very good parents behind him. They're helping him sort of get through all that stuff that you do when you're that famous and you're so young. And I hope that he carries on to do all that he's capable of. Quite wonderful to hear somebody so young playing in such a mature way. So anyway, coming up now, I've got a few more tracks. I'm gonna put a few tracks together now for you. And the first one is track by one of my favourite organ players, and his name is Larry Goldings. And there's going to follow that with another piano player. And of course, as you probably know by now, if you've been listening to my show, I'm a great fan of Keith Jarrett, even with that dodgy vocalist that he carries around with him sometimes. And after that, I've got a track called Refuge, and that's featuring Mark Hodgson and Stephen Keogh, and it's also featuring the wonderful tenor player Jerry Bergonzi. So let's kick off with Larry Goldings and his track called Fagin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How about it one more time for Victor Gould? Victor Gould, man. Yeah. That's right.
It's Jeremy Pelt, the trumpet player, with, as you heard, Victor Gould on piano, and that was from the album Live in Paris, and I think the subtitle of the album was Noir en Rouge, and beautiful track. I think that was originally written by Michel Legrand, and the track, of course, as you might well recognise, it was called I Will Wait For You. Yes, beautiful track, and recorded live, as you could hear, by the rather annoying people in the background, either mixing their cocktails, or maybe the waiters mixing the cocktails for the people, and or people actually sitting at the table clinking their glasses in the middle of a trumpet cadenza, where you would imagine that they might have just thought, I know, let's not do that right now, let's wait till the end of the track, because otherwise the recording will pick all of this up, which of course it did, and such a shame, because I guess it gives the sort of gives the feeling of it being live. But if you know the album's live, then why do you need to have people in the background, sort of the murmur and chatter of bits and pieces going on, and people clinking their cocktails or whatever they were doing. Anyway, that's fine, no worries. And before that, you heard Someone to Watch Over Me, that's Keith Jarrett on piano. And before that, Larry Goldings playing a track by him called Fagan, and I think that was probably dedicated to Donald Fagan, the keyboard player with Steely Dan, who died recently. And I was just thinking about, while I was listening to I Will Wait For You, thinking about somebody else who died recently. Gosh, everybody seems to be popping their clogs recently, don't they? It's kind of amazing. Chap called Charles Aznavour, who you probably realise was one of the most famous sort of French singers, even though I think he was Armenian by birth, but he came over to France and made a very big name for himself, and he was actually on tour up until up until last year. I think he stopped touring because he wasn't feeling too well, but I guess it was allowed because he was about 93 and he's still touring worldwide. That's pretty incredible. I hope I'll be able to stand up when I'm 93, let alone doing a world tour and singing it to boot. Anyway, so it's a great shame that he's passed, but yep, that's one of those things, I guess, and it's sadly missed, of course. And I've got time for a couple of more tracks. I'm just looking a little at my watch. Yes, 2 more tracks, I reckon, and that's good because do you know what? That's all I've got left on my playlist, and that's just perfect. This is a track by a buddy of mine called Ouge Groove, and he's a really superb smooth jazz saxophone player over in the States. I've mentioned him a few times, and I've actually played a few tracks by him as well. This is a track called Slam Dunk. There's a huge groove there with Slam Dunk. While that was playing, I just had a thought. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play one track that I've already played today. I'm going to play it again, simply because if you've been watching the program or you've been listening to it, you would have realised that after I played it, I was in fits of hysterical laughter. I mean, not because it was funny, but simply because the guy who was playing was just so incredible. This is Marshall Gilks, the trombone player, if I'd have known, I'm not a trombone player, but he was so accurate and so incredible that I thought it must be playing a valve trombone, because kind of, you know, those valves, you know, kind of makes everything a little bit more precise, a bit like playing, well, I like to say playing a trumpet, but anyway, it is amazing what he's doing, and he's not playing a valve trombone, he's playing a slide trombone, and that's just astonishing, I think. As a saxophone player, I find it just absolutely amazing. As a musician, I find it amazing what he's doing. So I've got time just to play that track again. It's going to be my last track for today, and as I always mention, it's a great pleasure playing this wonderful music to you. It's so beautiful, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I will be back next Wednesday at 12:30. The show is repeated this evening at 9 o'clock, I think, and I'm just having a little look. I think it's 9 o'clock, and it goes out on the television channel tomorrow. It's free to view, channel 41, and that's at 12, 5 and 11 p.m. So if you would like to have a look at it, then please do. And it's also, of course, on the Arrow FM website under my name, Alex Nyman, Jazz Club, and please click on if you'd like to have a listen to that. If you want to get in touch, the address is Jazz Club, no, it's Arrow FM Jazz Club at gmail.com. Arrow FM Jazz Club at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I haven't heard from anybody yet. I think I heard from one person in the first week when I was here, and they said they liked the show. But since then, nobody's said anything to me, or written anything at least anyway. So, hey, take pity on an old man and write me an email, please. Go on, arrowfmjazzclub at gmail.com. Anyway, this is Marshall Gilks. He's playing Puddle Jumping with the WDR Big Band from Cologne, or Köln, as they say in Germany. And just listen to this. I'm going to just say goodbye to you now, and I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I look forward to your company next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.